Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Revamped. Today we are going to be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 2, Episode 17, Passion. This aired originally February 24th, 1998, written by Ty King and directed by Michael E. Gershman. We have both Naj and Tyler back with us again. You guys, happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, super excited. Thank you for having us.
Naj was here for our TED coverage. Tyler was here for our Halloween coverage. So he was originally supposed to be here for our Innocents, but he got all sicked up and couldn't come in.
We don't talk about that.
But it's okay because that's why we had to invite you back for this one so we could make up for the loss. And we still have you on for 2 this season because we had a lot of fun with you back then. So here we are again. Jumping right in, though, this week on the Hellmouth, as Angelus resumes his dark ways, actively targeting Buffy and her loved ones, they grow increasingly fearful. Meanwhile, Jenny tries to reconcile with the group by secretly working to gather the necessary tools to restore Angel's soul. However, when Drusilla has a vision of her intentions, Angelus shifts his focus directly onto Jenny. Determined to thwart her plans, the unfolding events leave the gang devastated. Dun dun dun. I feel like I'm gonna get all choked up and stuff again. Like watching, it's like sad because when you're with your friend and they start crying, or I'm already crying, then Courtney starts crying, then it's just like this back and forth. I'm like, you stop, no, you stop. Like, getting into the episode though, to me, the episode title "Passion" speaks to a lot. I'm gonna already say that obviously this is like one of my favorite episodes. I'm sure that you guys have that in y'all's memory bank as big episodes for you guys as well. But Angel's monologue, there's a lot of meaning, but I always think about how passionate Angelus is for hurting Buffy because of the fact that she made him feel in his previous comments, to kill this girl, you have to love her. So in this episode, it really rings true. Not only that, we also see how obsessed he is with her even after losing the soul. He's nothing but consistent in his affections, a sadistic and cruel monster. He takes pleasure and finds passion in the kill. His torment perfectly describes the way that he views it in art. Again, he's passionate about it. It's a great play on the previous version of passion Angel felt for Buffy and how it turned into the opposite day vibes real fucking quick. This episode still continues to blow me away. Even watching today, the build up and the intense moment along with the death of one of our main Scoobies is shocking. This for me really sealed the fact that this show will do anything, and once again, no one is safe. The music usage also throughout is key and really pulls us into the moments. There's like all kinds of musical scores going on. We've got the Remembering Jenny theme. We've got, the opera music whenever Giles finds her body, and, everything else. I don't know. Christoph Beck is just, he's my chef's kiss for music, and I'm glad he did the score versus Sean Clement and Sean Murray this episode, just because this kind of kicks off more of Christoph Beck working in the future with the show, even though he's scattered throughout. As a fan of the Angelus arc, though, it really takes it to a whole new level, creating so much more intensity and risk for our gang, and the story that this show is telling for Buffy. I've watched this more times than a lot of the other episodes, and I've been so excited and honestly dreading to get here. I'll say, more about that later, but I wanted to remind like you and Courtney and everyone listening, Willow's comment in The Dark Age. I wrote this as a note back then because I told Courtney, I was like, the comment that Willow makes whenever Jenny comes up to Giles.
Morning, England.
Oh, hello, Miss Jenny.
Feel the passion, Willow. Coughing, not speaking.
Feel the passion. I had never really noticed that before, and I was like, holy shit, that's a foreshadow moment right there, because of the fact that the episode Passion and all of this is exactly where all this goes down. So I wanted to bring that back up for Courtney. With that, also the fact that the Dark Age had Jenny back off from Giles, and then in Innocence, Giles backs off from Jenny. So the two both had that chance to rightfully kind of say fuck off to each other. But in this episode, Giles and Jenny are starting to get back on track, and Buffy even stands for Giles's happiness. And the potential of that chance for them is ripped away from us when Angelus kills Jenny, truly securing another devastating moment in the show so far, this season especially. So that's how I feel in this moment. Obviously, I'll say some more whenever I get along, but Courtney, I'm going to open up the floor to you to talk about how you felt about this episode coming fresh off of it. We just watched it literally 15 minutes ago.
Literally. I feel like I'm still processing the episode, so there's that part of it. It was a lot to take in, and I didn't anticipate, obviously, like such a main character getting killed off the show at this moment, because we're anticipating Angel to be doing some fucked up shit at some point, especially in regards to hurting Buffy directly or someone close to her. So I wish it wasn't this way. I love Jenny. Obviously, y'all know I was like rooting for Giles and Jenny to like run off and get married and be together forever. So that's no longer an option. And that makes me the saddest about the whole episode. And it just continues to reaffirm my absolute hatred for Angel. So that's what I'm left with, is basically the way Giles came in hot on Angel is the feeling I'm left with right now. And if I had the opportunity, I'd be slinging whatever the fuck Giles threw into the factory that like caused a whole blaze. I would be doing the same thing and just come in with guns blazing. So yeah, it pissed me off, it upset me, it broke my heart, but there was also, like Brandon said, those humorous moments to follow right after. So it was a good roller coaster. But now I'm going to need therapy, probably.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Naj, what did you think about the episode? Like, especially rewatching, I'm assuming for your second time.
Yeah, the first time I watched, I was emotional. I cried because I feel like these last few episodes was about Giles and Jenny and like the relationship and how, you know, due to the betrayal, I guess, of Jenny not telling Buffy about what happened with Angelus and Angel, we were kind of like seeing if will they get together, will they give it another chance. And with this episode, you're like, okay, well, maybe Giles is actually considering, and, you know, even though Buffy is still mad at Jenny, he still misses her. And then you get this like, oh my God, like will Jenny succeed in making sure that we get Angel his soul back? And then by the end of the episode, you realize that's not the chance. And I didn't even think or even assume that we were going to get this big risk. Like, I know when I first watched, everybody was like, oh yeah, Buffy the show is not afraid to take this chance of killing a main character or going there. And for me, I'm like, well, we haven't went there like Angelus and Spike are like just sitting here. They're all talk, no bite. And at that time, I was like, oh, well, like, I don't know what they could do. But, you know, sure, if you want to stalk her, sure. But to actually see Jenny die when you think she's about to escape, she's on the second step, she's running, and you're like, oh, well, he just fell off a mop. Like, he's so dumb. And then you turn around and he's right in front of her and then just kills her. And then it just proceeds to get worse because you're like, oh, well, he killed her. Like, he's going to leave. But to bring her to Giles's house, that will always be the biggest shock to me, with like the scoring and the music of like Giles he's so excited. He's like, oh, this is my chance to get back with her. He got the flowers and everything. And he goes there with the alcohol and she's just dead. And then you're just like, they really did this? And so watching it the second time and like knowing the foreshadowings to this moment is even more sick because like it really shows that nobody is safe in the Buffy universe. And sadly, Giles lost the love of his life that day.
That's so true and so sad. So sad.
Yeah. I was going to say, on top of everything that Naj just said, I think that this episode in particular is the first time that I can say what I love about Buffy so much. It uses like the full potential of any event that could happen. There are many shows that we've seen, like Game of Thrones or something, which I also love, where it's known for killing these main characters and killing people and being really ruthless with them. But sometimes those deaths are just the death themselves is the shock, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And this, on top of the history that you see with Jenny, her backstory, the redemption she tries to have to like bring Angel's soul back to have her die, with all of this Giles history on top of it, and then use that as a moment for Giles and Buffy to have something that they've really never had before and put them at a similar level. And also make Buffy acknowledge that she really has been avoiding doing anything about this because it's painful to her. It's somebody that she was in love with. And I just think that it's like a very, very good example of Buffy doing the writing of beats so incredibly good and juicy and full. And when an event like this happens, you're not left being like, oh, I wish there was more between Jenny and Giles. More than you should. You know, you should feel that way, that there's like a longing, but you're not like, oh, they really didn't explore that as much as I would have liked, or I would have loved to see them flirting with each other a little bit more, things like that. Yeah, and I absolutely love this one. I've seen this episode like 10 times probably, and I forget every time I start it that the opening music is so unique and different, and the use of like that echo is just, ooh, I love it.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
This episode obviously is all about making the threat of Angelus very real. DVD interview with Joss Whedon, he said that this episode is Angel's first real offensive act against Buffy, and that they specifically put the death of Jenny at a pivotal moment in this story arc for the season because Angel needed to kill someone to tell the audience that not everyone is safe, that someone integral to the show whose death is final and scary can be ripped away from us. And he said it is also to show Angel is not just a little evil, he is Buffy's enemy. And the episode is there to make Buffy realize that she has to kill him and get him out of her life. Joss said that he wanted it to be as hard for the audience as possible, and I think he succeeded. His goal was he wanted them to know that redeeming Angel and getting him back would be difficult or impossible and so fraught with consequences that the audience wouldn't be sure if they wanted him back. On how Jenny died, they initially wavered the idea of biting because they didn't want the audience to think that she could come back as a vampire. They chose him breaking her neck as an insult. That Angel didn't even want to feed off of her. He just wanted to kill. So, that being said... I was
going to mention that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. That's intense. I was saying that to Courtney as soon as we were done. It's just like the biggest insult. That's what you feel because he takes pleasure in this with what he does thereafter. And obviously we'll discuss that, but I think we can get into the episode now as well. We open at the Bronze on a fun night out with the gang as Buffy and Xander dance together to Morcheeba's Never an Easy Way. Song is such a vibe. Willow and Cordy chatting at a nearby table. Angelus appears to be stalking Buffy and her friends from afar, watching them enjoy themselves as his voice overlaps the scenes, narrating part one of a monologue about passion.
Passion. It lies in all of us, sleeping, waiting, and though unwanted, unbidden, it will stir, open its jaws, and howl.
The gang exit the Bronze together, closing off their night, unbeknownst that Angelus is right out there draining a girl's blood as they pass directly by him, dropping her body to the ground as they walk away, carrying on their lives as he stalks behind them, shifting from vamp face to his angelic face. How they just walk right by his fucking ass. Like, he's literally like, Buffy's shoulder grazed that girl's back. Like, but I get it. They probably just think, as usual, somebody's out there making out with her boyfriend. But Buffy's senses, and I'll say it again in a second, her senses are just a little thrown off this episode. I don't know what's going on with her because normally she'd be sensing vampires. Like, she knew that was a vampire around the corner whenever she heard a growl, whenever her and Ford were walking out of the Bronze to go take their walk. And that motherfucker was all the way around the corner. When Angel was in the tomb in the harvest and she was going down there to like check out what was going on down there before she, kicked the door down to the entrance, she's like standing there, she's like, don't suppose you have a key? And she hasn't even turned around to look that Angel was in the room. She just sensed someone was in the room. And then all of 2 seconds from now, I was about to say, this motherfucker's in her bedroom while she's sleeping, touching her face, stroking her hair. Like, Buffy, where's this Slayer senses? They not Slayerin' right now.
You right.
Oh yeah.
Later in the night at Buffy's home, she's seen in her room preparing for bed, checking out her windows, eventually changing and settling into bed for the night, switching her bedroom light off for us not to find Sid or a mummy's bodyguard outside. This time it's Angelus outside her window watching her. Time passes well into the night and we watch her sleep, taking notice as Angelus's shadow appears on her bedspread. He's now in her bedroom. A hand gently swiping Buffy's face as he finishes his narration, just sitting on the edge of her bed, continuing to watch her sleep.
It speaks to us, guides us, passion rules us all, and we obey. What other choice do we have?
And then we cue the Buffy theme. Bow, now, now, now. I wrote my notes. The fact that she doesn't wake up is so eerie. He's sitting here touching her and she doesn't sense it. Obviously, I just went on a tangent about it. But while unbelievable, it is also quite terrifying that she doesn't wake and he just sits there with her throughout the night. Like, he spent the whole entire night there. The fact that he's also so delicate with her shows how sinister his mind is working already and how he feels towards her. Like the comment that Willow makes later, it's put right here in front of us, and that he's planning something and savoring these moments of her being aloof to his presence, watching her all night.
There's also definitely something to be said about like how her Slayer senses are off. This probably isn't intentional. Like the justification could be that she subconsciously doesn't want to kill him. She doesn't want to sense it. This is the episode where she's like, okay, I got to do something. So I don't know, to give a little justification for her not feeling it.
Yeah. The next morning, Buffy wakes to find a drawing of her sleeping left on her pillow next to her. We flash over to the library where Buffy is entering, telling Giles Angel was in her room last night for certain, as she tells him Xander and Cordy about the photo he left for her.
A visit from the Pointed Tooth Fairy.
Cordelia questioning the fact that vampires need to be invited in, and Giles clarifying for them once that's been done, that's forever the case. They have access indefinitely. Her freaking out about the fact she invited him in her own car, and now she will be doomed to give him and his vamp friends a ride whenever.
And those guys never chip in for gas.
Buffy questions Giles about the possibility of there being a spell to reverse it and takes vamps off the welcome list, like a barrier, no shoes, no pulse, no service kind of thing. Cordy was killing me with his car shit. She's like,
Yeah, that works for a car too.
girl, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, and I'm going to say it now. Cordelia, your car is private property, yes, but vampires can enter a vehicle. It's not your home. Unless you're living as a homeless person in your car, I don't think your car is the correct kind of like issue going on. He's going to rip you out that shit. Like, what? But she is.
Yeah, there's another weird inconsistency with this later in the episode, but I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get there.
Are you talking about the grandma thing?
No, I'm talking about the school.
Yeah.
How
I don't have.
We're gonna get into all the
inconsistencies for sure. I don't have that brought up, but like, yes, that is a thing. I think it's just meant for like conversation, but we'll talk about it when we get there. I don't have it written down, but you bring it up. He starts to check as Jonathan and a girl come in looking for books, and this is the first time that we've ever seen people other than the gang come in there.
And Owen,
obviously, other than Owen. And this sure ain't a Barnes and Noble, but this is a school library, and I know we're all questioning since when. The gang leaves in order to continue their talk. Out in the halls, Giles makes it clear that Angel has decided to step up his harassment game. Cordelia, trying to help sarcasms.
Sneaking in her room and leaving stuff at night? Why doesn't he just slit her throat or strangle her while she's sleeping or cut her heart out? What? I'm trying to help.
Buffy is already unsettled enough, and Giles tells her that he is just trying to provoke her as battle strategy, cause her some mishap, and taunt her, aka the na-na-na-na-na approach. Buffy informing them about how Angel told her that whenever he tortured Drusilla, the first thing he did was kill her family, arriving on the fact that her mom is unsafe with Angela as having an all-access pass to their home, and Buffy surely can't protect her at all times. What is she going to tell her? Because it surely can't be the truth. Giles confirming he is going to find a spell, but what about till then?
Until then, you and your mother are welcome to ride around with me in my car.
Courtney laughs so hard whenever that happened, and I always do too. I love it. Once again, she ain't dropping this fucking car shit. She's like, you can hang out with us. It's fine. Giles warns Buffy to keep a level head through this, understanding her concerns and that no matter how provocative his actions become, she needs to do so. Possibly just ignore him till he goes away. Over in Jenny's computer class, the bell rings as class is dismissed. Willow in said class getting stopped by her on the way out for Jenny to ask if she would be able to watch the class the next day for her, since she may be a little late. Willow super stoked about this agrees, but then also freaking out in that same motion.
Wait, what if they don't recognize my authority? What if they try to convince me that you always let them leave class early? What if there's a fire drill? What if there's a fire?
And also, like, well, I have power to do what the teacher does, like assign detention. Willow gets so geeked up and giddy. It's so cute because she's so excited to like have some sort of power. And this opens up a whole new platform for Willow, the things that we'll see in the future from her. And I kind of see where this like episode starts to foreshadow some future Willow stuff. Jenny assures she will have it covered and she will try not to be too late. Their convo was cut short when Buffy appears with Giles in the room, her hoping to pull away Willow and leave Giles alone with Jenny. Y'all notice Jenny says hey to Buffy and she just straight up doesn't say anything back. Like, I was like, oh, the shade. And then Willow has to be like, I'm sorry, I have to talk to her. She's a teacher. And she goes off on that tangent as she's walking out the room. She's like, teachers deserve authority and like respect and all this other stuff. She's like, even when the substitute teacher's there for them, like talking about her fucking self. Giles enters Jenny's room, though, and lingers behind as Jenny asks how he's been, and he confirms not all the best, mentioning the sense of whimsy Angel has regained since losing his soul, also speaking on how he needs to find a spell to de-invite a vampire from the home. Jenny, having just the book, hands it over to Giles, hoping it could help, saying that she's been doing her own research since Angel changed. She tries to ask how Buffy's doing, and Giles is stern to ask how does she think under the circumstances and all. Jenny senses his not-so-positive vibes flowing, commenting she knows that he feels betrayed, and Giles sarcasms, well, yes, that would be one of the unpleasant side effects of betrayal. I love the dialogue. And like this is kind of interesting too, because Giles hasn't been quite as sarcastic and like the way he can typically be like the last couple of episodes, especially since, you know, this Jenny shit happened since Angel turned. She clarifies with him, hoping to help Rupert understand that she was raised by the people Angelus hurt the most, and how her duty to her people was the first thing that she was ever taught.
I didn't come here to hurt anyone. And I lied to you because I thought it was the right thing to do. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know I was going to fall in love with you.
Right here, my heart breaks every single time. I choked up even today. I choked up when writing this script because it's so sad, because in this moment, we know what her fate is after the scene plays out, after you've watched it your second time. Your heart breaks for her, it breaks for Giles, and you know that this is before it completely shatters later. But like the scene, it sucks because she kind of catches herself. She didn't mean to slip up and say this. Courtney, whenever she makes the comment about how she loves Giles, like hearing that again and knowing what her fate is, how do you take that in?
Well, it's weird because when I was watching it, instead of having a normal reaction, I got sad right away, and it just gave me this weird sense of doom, almost kind of like I knew something was going to happen because of her saying that or something, you know, because it's like the show's nature. If there's one thing predictable, it's the unpredictability of it, and the fact that that always is going to slap you in the face right when you're like the most emotionally attached to the situation. And I felt like her doing that was almost like she opened the door to her own demise, is how it was conveyed to me right away, because I was like, nothing can be happy in this show. No one can have like a normal bond relationship existence. You know, it's no different than when Angel and Buffy cross the threshold and they have their intimate exchange for the first time, and they finally like really get to experience and dive into all their feelings by being intimate together. That immediately gets ripped away from us because then Angel becomes Angela. So it's so on brand for the show to give you something like this. It's like dangling the carrot in front of your face just to say you can never have it, you know? And I kind of got that vibe right away. So it made me more sad to hear her say that, because I almost felt like this isn't that solidified that that's not going to go anywhere, you know? So it was like, oh shit, it gave me a bad feeling for the rest of the episode. Whereas I don't know like how other people were, and maybe I'm hyper intuitive about it, or I'm like, because of the podcast, maybe I'm really diving and dissecting into everything. But I don't know if every first time viewer had that, or they were more in that like, oh, finally, like she said she's in love. But I was like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah, it kind of comes with a double-edged sword too, because in our discussion right now, I'm noticing as happy as I am that Giles got to hear from her that she loved him and know that that was real.
It almost makes it worse.
It makes it worse because when he has to find her body later, and that's why he gets so enraged, because she has just come hot off of like admitting that she's sorry. She really wants to make amends. And like this is also after the fact of him greeting her in her classroom later. You know, he knows that he has a chance again, and he knows this woman loves him, and this might be the woman that he finally spends his life with. And once again, like I said earlier, it's ripped away. So it makes it that much more unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just said in general, it's kind of like a confusing thing, because like in hindsight, you understand why like Giles and Buffy are, you know, like mad, or like, you know, can't like trust, you know, Jenny anymore because she was assigned here to come after Angel. And it's this thing of like, you can't be mad at them for feeling a certain way, but it's so hard watching Jenny, like to her last dying breath, try to prove to them that they can trust her. And just knowing that she couldn't fully succeed in the way that she wanted, and she lost her life trying to, fix what she caused, or not really caused, but like she feels like she contributed in a sense. It's one of the most sickest things because you see that she loves Giles. You see that Giles is hurt, but he's trying to be as loyal to Buffy as he can. And, Buffy, her trust with Jenny would have taken a longer time to even rebuild or even build up to where it used to be. And so, like, you just see Jenny realize that she lost this community that she's built for the last, few months since, season 1. And just knowing that at this moment, no matter how hard she tries, she's still going to fail is one of the most saddest things because she's putting her life on the line. She's trying to do so much within, a few hours of, just trying to get a chance to prove to Giles and Buffy that she regrets her decision. She regrets, sadly choosing her family over them, even though she knew that Angel wasn't that person. But now time's catching up and it's sadly her time to go at this point.
Well, he just stares at her, taking in her words, and surprised by her admittance. Stunned, she realizes what she has said and asks if it's too late to take it back. Him taking a step to her to ask if that's what she wants. Her clarifying she just wants things to be okay between them, to make this all up to him. Giles claiming he understands, but he's not the one that she needs to make it up to. Thanking her for the book and leaving. At their Summers residence that evening, Buffy and Joyce have dinner. Well, Joyce does, because she smoked that Jiffy Jolly and is tearing it up. She over there like, and but Buffy's over here just picking at her shit. But Joyce is high, so she ain't skipping out. We were making jokes yesterday in our recording for Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered with Frank about how whenever Buffy gets the flowers delivered to her from Angel for Valentine's Day, her and her mom are like pigging out at home while everybody else is at the Bronze, and they've got like the smorgasbord of like pizza, popcorn, cookies, like all the things. And it's the first time you really notice that Joyce is a true stoner, because she's there she's letting Buffy also smoke. Now she's like, baby, you've been depressed lately, you want an edible? So this is another one of the moments where I'm like watching Joyce and I'm like, yeah, she over here fucking up that food, and she's like, why aren't you touching this delicious ass food I just made? She does also pick up on the fact that Buffy's mood is off, and she asks Buffy what's wrong. She knows something is bothering her, assuring her that she reads all the parenting books and can handle whatever it is. Those books including Parenting Kids While High 101, My Daughter's an Arsonist, and Positive Vibes for Dummies. Buffy, feeling okay enough to share, mentions Angel, the college guy from last season who was tutoring her in history, and Joyce remembers this vaguely. Buffy, stumbling through how to phrase it, mentions the two had become involved and now going through the off phase strongly. Joyce calling it, to guess in a nutshell, that he's changed, not the same guy that she thought he was. She's like, yeah. And since that change, he's been following her around, being a little weird, sending her notes, those sorts of things. He's having trouble letting go. She claims also that she just doesn't want to see him, and if he does show up, she will talk to him. Telling Joyce, though, if he does, just don't invite him in. We flash over to Willow's room where she is on the phone with Buffy, telling her to not let Angel get to her. Buffy telling her that she hopes Giles finds that keep out spell soon, as we watch Willow sprinkle some fish food into her fish tank. Buffy also adding she will sleep easier when she can, sleep easier. Willow tries to tell her until he does to keep happy thoughts, turning around to find an envelope on her bed that she hadn't noticed before. This is a little bit too much for me, because I'm like, she already changed for bed and stuff. Did he slip in there when she was putting the sprinkles in there quiet, just like Buffy didn't hear him, for her to then turn around and see this? Or did she have a blanket thrown over it like Cordy's jacket is later on whenever they find the picture of Joyce? It's weird. But regardless, I'm happy for the scene because it's traumatizing enough for Willow. She opens the envelope and is silent, and Buffy's calling out to her over the line, opening it up to pull out a string, finding that all her fish are strung to it, having been left by Angel since he has a full invite into her home. This shit's scary. As soon as Courtney saw the envelope on the bed, she was like, oh fuck, he has access to her house too. And I love the cinematography here, how the camera pans around to behind the fish tank, and we watch Willow, string up the fish so that way they're coming through the opposite side of the glass, almost like they're in the fish tank, but they're dead. Just the way they set that up was a really cool shot. Awesome shit, but that's fucked up, and I feel bad for Willow because obviously we flash over to Willow sitting with Buffy in her bed at her house, thanking her for having her over. The cutest scene. She's like, especially on a school night and all. And I love how Willow is, right? Willow's holding that iconic steak that Buffy has all the time, and she's sitting in Buffy's bed with her, and Buffy's bed is lined with fucking garlic bulbs and shit. We know that shit don't work for vampires, but they are taking every precaution. Willow's looking mad wigged out, and Buffy giving her condolences about her fish. Willow being glad for the first time that her parents never let her have a puppy, because we already heard what Angel likes to do with puppies last episode. But
I was just about to say, it's so interesting that this episode they choose to kill Willow's fish. And I was like, they could have picked anything. She could have had a dog, she could have had something, but picking a fish and then to bookend it with Jenny and how horrible her death is just like such a nice little, I don't know, duality, if you want to call it, comparison, whatever it is. It's so great.
Buffy goes on to say that this is so weird because when something like this happens, her first instinct is still to run to Angel. Stunned that this is the same person doing all of this to them. He's completely different than the guy that she knew. Willow adding,
Except what? You're still the only thing he thinks about.
and that shit's pretty fucked up because that to me is just like the intensity that we needed, I guess. The fact that Angel obviously cares so much for Buffy, and Angelus does too, because he is still like really obsessed with Buffy. The fact that Angel is literally not going to stop with Buffy no matter what. He still wants to like think about her all day, do these things to her, and now instead of giving her love, he's giving her like fucking death threats, essentially. I don't know. It's just really fucked up, and it's interesting that they chose to call it out in the episode as well. Cutting over to the factory where Drusilla has brought Spike a surprise, not an arm in a box, a little tiny puppy, because we've got the fucking mention of all these damn dogs, so we're gonna bring one into the screen, which she took after killing its owner. Wondering if Spike likes her because she's there to cheer him up, letting him know that she's named the puppy Sunshine, telling Spike to open wide, trying to feed it to him so that way he can get his strength up. And he grows annoyed and yells out at her that he won't have her feeding him like he's a child. And Angelus coming in the room right at that moment too to retort, why the fuck not? She already bathes, changes, and carries you around like one. Drusilla asking where he's been because it's almost sunrise. They were worried, and Spike quickly clarifies, but not. Drusilla saying he is in a mood because he doesn't get out these days. I'm like, are they not taking him out? Are they always bringing him meals home or something? I know Angel's not, but obviously Drusilla kind of still has his back, even though she's also underneath Angel 24/7 as well, because you know they fucking like hardcore. And this is the episode where it's really put out there for like what he says seconds from now. But the fact that Spike is already like can't do anything because he's stuck in this fucking wheelchair since what 6-7 episodes ago. Angelus chooses to mock Spike about how he can bring him along the next time. He's like,
might be handy to have you around if I ever need a really good parking space.
It's so fucked up. We got in a whole tangent yesterday about, what did you call him, Courtney? Like, I called him Caddy. You said he was a menace because he's just like, he's fucking with the people in his household too. He's just being a jerk to everybody that he can.
Right.
And giving bully energy for sure.
Yeah, bully.
Because like Spike was so excited to have the good old days with Angelus, and now he just realizing that this guy that he idolized is actually garbage. Like, he don't care if you were like somebody that he hung out with 2 centuries ago, he's still going to trash you. And I think what's even like wilder about this whole scenario is that like you see like Drusilla and Spike be this, I guess, ideal vampire couple, and like you see like their love for each other, even if it's in a like sick and twisted way, that like Spike truly cared for Drusilla. And the fact that once Angelus came, that whole attention and like passion, even like him taking days and weeks to make sure that she was okay and she healed from being stampeded on. Once Angelus came, all the attention that she gave to this man just went away. Like, and it just makes it seem like, well, damn. So she's not loyal to Spike. Like, I always used to think that they were like loyal to each other, and then like I kept denying the fact that once Angelus came, that she would just pop, lock, and drop. But then I'm like, you know, Angelus did like, you know, like,
like oh, I love the way you put it.
Wow, I just never expected that. So when like Angelus made that comment and then looked at it, I was like, Spike don't hear this? Like, where do they even do it at? Outside?
They're doing it after they feed and shit like that. I don't know. That shit's fucked up.
Sure.
Yeah, and Spike's obviously had about enough and demands some respect in his home, which Angelus is a guest in, he reminds him. Angelus admitting that he's just there to help, offering he will do anything for him, anything that he's not already doing, that is. Looking over to, you know, obviously mean what we're talking about. He's dicking Drusilla down. Since Spike is incapable at the moment, he goes in a rage and like shoves him back. He's like,
That's enough!
And Angelus just doesn't give a fuck. He's just laughing at him. And I'm like, oh my God, what a way to taunt this motherfucker. Drew loving these two fighting over her as well. This just makes a girl feel all, and she starts to cry out, looking up above, having a vision. Spike asking, what's the what? Her alluding to the fact that the air, it worries. An old enemy is seeking to help destroy our happy home. I gotta pick at this bitch because of her accent. I wrote my note, so in parentheses, I was like, what happy home is this? Spike is miserable.
Right. And they're cheating too. Like, what are we talking about? Just I feel like when I used to watch for the first time, I used to be so confused every time she would do this riddle shit. So I'm just like, lady, what are you talking about?
Just say it.
Hair. Just say it. Like, why are you making poems just to tell us that there's an op outside.
And she says it later. She goes all up into the shopkeeper and tells him what's the what. She's like, we in Sunshine want to know what you and the mean teacher talked about. Like, you already know. You know it's about the teacher. Like, why are you talking about the air at Worries? Like, bitch, you are fucking insane. But to add to what you were saying, Naj, like, we know the energy watching the rest of the series and stuff like that too, without going into spoilers or anything in detail. This has kind of always been like, especially when Darla was around and they were a quartet, we had those separate entities, but I'm pretty sure they all like totally like, you know, fucked each other, fucked around, had like, you know, non-monogamous relationship vibes, very polyamory, like ridden when it comes to their relationships. But they also had like a different Angelus back then. I think because of Buffy, he's warped his mind a little bit differently. He's handling things a little bit differently and acting out. I was telling them yesterday in the pod that I think it's because Angelus spent all that time as a deep psyche pushed down version inside Angel, that he's coming up and he's like acting really petty now and just like lashing out a little differently than he had to back in the day, because he was all about the art, he was all about the kill, he was all about everything that we've seen, you know, in the past flashbacks we, like, spoiler wise, get later down the road. We see a lot of that information, so we know he's always kind of treated Spike some type of way, but here he's doing it way worse, and I don't understand why isn't he just like, how can we help you? He was a part of their team later, and even if they've always had a sort of bicker type vibe or whatever it is, like, why is he acting this way here and now? So I think that Buffy has to do a lot, and it being in this time, being in Sunnydale versus, you know, traveling the world and just being out pillaging, killing people back in, you know, the 1800s or whatever, when they were doing it previously and all that shit. So that's my take on that. We flash over next to the magic store where we see Jenny walk in, this being her errand that is keeping her from class. The shop owner trying to offer her some basic ass shop items all the kids be buying in there these days. Jenny knows what she wants though, and it's not a rabbit's foot or a Ouija board, it's an 𝒂𝒒𝒒𝒒𝒒𝒒𝒒. The man, realizing she's an actual serious practitioner, moves to the back to retrieve the only one that he has, wondering how she heard about his shop, and Jenny telling him that her uncle Anyos had spoken about him. Apparently the man knowing just who she is, as he comments, like, calling her by her Romani name, Yana, offering his condolences, also having heard about her uncle Anyos's death and that he was a good customer of his as well. He brings out the orb, saying that he doesn't sell them very often unless they're, you know, for a paperweight purpose, which I thought was cool, because he's like, new age paperweights. That's what all the kids are doing these days. He does also mention to Jenny if she knows that the transliterations for the rituals of the undead have been lost for a really long time. Jenny confirming that she's been working on transcribing the text on her computer and is close to recovering said lost workings, rendering the orbs useful again. The man glad because he doesn't accept refunds. He's like, all right, good. I'm glad you got it clocked, because this $38.95 that you spent in, I ain't giving it back because rent's due. She goes to leave, and he asks for shits and giggles what she is hoping to conjure up. Jenny offering a present for a friend of hers. The shopkeeper asking, oh yeah, what are you going to give him? Jenny holding up the orb as it mystically glows in her hand, stating,
his soul.
That shot's really cool. It's just the way she holds it up and it glows and it like lights up her eyes, and we're like, at this point, kind of thinking, like, Courtney yourself, were you like, the possibility, did you like, oh my god, that's the big thing that Brandon's been talking about, they're gonna reinsult Angel and he's gonna come back this episode? Like, I don't know if that was your
yes
Yeah.
but also no, because I knew that it wasn't going to be just that easy. So no,
for sure.
it was just like a recipe for disaster, basically.
I'm happy you brought up
delusional.
that shot too, because it's one of my favorites. And this time, watching it for like the 15th time, each time I say it, it's going to go up. I was like, why is it glowing? Like, that was what I was concerned with. I was like, it's so cool looking, but also like, why is it glowing?
At school, Buffy and Willow arrive as Xander greets them, inquiring how their nights went. Willow mentioning that they actually had an impromptu sleepover at Buffy's with weapons. Xander hoping a camera was involved, and I'm like, oh, God. every time he's always making
Like, go
fun
away.
so skeezy. Like, you're dating Cordelia now, and you're still wanting to see Buffy, and like, I mean,
It's
teenage
so gross.
teenage boy vibes. I've tried to move past a little bit of Xander's stuff because I know how he's written already, but the fact that he is a fucking 16, 17-year-old boy, of course he's, you know, at linoleum makes me think about sex. Like, no matter what, whether he's, I don't know, I'm just focus your energies on your girlfriend still, my bud. Like,
Yeah, I just don't understand. You wanted a relationship with Cordelia, and then once you get with her, you just still do this. Like, you wanted to be out and open, and you know, you went to the whole world that you were dating, and then here you go. Every time Buffy does something, or even any girl, your attention just goes to them. Like, are you loyal or are you not? Because at this point, do you want Drusilla too? Like, free me.
He didn't want her last episode whenever she's like, how
Yeah.
do you feel about eternal life? He's like, I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling like regular life. Sorry, bitch. And I agree, because fuck off, Drusilla. Obviously, the camera wasn't present, so no such luck for Xander. Willow needing to leave to get to the class that she's supposed to cover for Jenny. And I like how she's rambling on before she sees fucking Jenny. And she's walking across the fucking lawn towards the school. And she's like, darn, she's here. 5 hours of lesson planning down the drain. I'm like, you spent 5 hours the night before after your fish had died. And all day yesterday before you went over to Buffy's house, she was fucking doing lesson planning. Like, what are you lesson planning? She had the whole like layout for you of what you're supposed to do for the class. If anything, most of the time there's a substitute teacher. They're like just handing out some paperwork or bullshit stuff for you to do. I never had a substitute actually teach the class. They're just there to be the the voice in the class to help make sure the structure remains the class. And everybody always overturns the fucking person. So I get why Willow was worried about like, what if they don't recognize my authority? Like, because people always press a substitute. So I know I always like tried to like act out the day that we had a substitute.
Not do the work or anything.
Yep.
Like 5 hours, like could she not sleep after her fish died? Which maybe that's why she couldn't sleep. But to do 5 hours of planning when you're only going to be teaching a class for like 30-40 minutes is actually insanity, Willow. Like, is it a new topic?
She was so excited.
She was. I would have went to class and came.
Yep.
Like she's worried about authority the whole time. Most of the class probably not even going to show up if they knew that Jenny wasn't making an appearance.
Yeah,
she would have been teaching like 2 kids.
I'll say it this way so that way I don't ruin whenever I get to the very end of the episode. But when Willow comes in to teach the class, you can tell she almost regrets having been excited about teaching for Jenny, because until the new permanent teacher comes around, she's like the stand-in substitute until that time comes. And just the sadness on her face for that, it almost like, I really do read it as like the regret of her being so hyped about it, because now she sees this as a sad burden instead of like a fun adventure, Buffy leaves Xander to walk over to Jenny, stopping her, and she is surprised to see Buffy before her, asking if Buffy needed something. Buffy stating she knows she feels badly about everything, and she just wanted to say, not feeling ready for this entirely. Good, keep it up. Jenny is stunned and says that she will, and motions to leave, Buffy stopping her to add,
he misses you. He doesn't say anything to me, but I know he does. And I don't want him to be lonely. I don't want anyone to.
Buffy, you know that if I have a chance to make this
We're
up...
good here. Let's just leave it.
and then literally leaves Jenny. And it's kind of sad too, because just like we're about to get in a little bit, like this is the last time Buffy has an interaction with Jenny. So this is probably where Buffy brings in more guilt over holding this over Jenny's head for longer than she does, because afterwards she finds out what she was trying to do for her behind the scenes and probably just brings in this heavier guilt for her. But it always kind of is fucked up to me, because like when you watch this episode after seeing it, especially after watching it numerous times, you start to catch these interactions like, damn, this is the last time she's talking to Jenny. This is the last time Giles is talking to Jenny, and this is their final moments. And they still don't know what she's up to. If she had have just voiced it and opened her mouth and been like, so by the way, I literally am so close, like maybe even by this evening, I can have your boyfriend back with you. And then she would have been like, okay, well, let me know, call me later. Like, we'll be at the school to stand guard. We'll do this spell with you. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I feel like if she did say that, maybe they would have been determined to like protect her safety too, because this whole episode, Buffy and Willow and everybody's worrying about the safety of like people that were already invited in, like, they invited Angelus in. Like, I feel like if they were, oh well, we also got to protect Jenny, like, it's Jenny, like, would it maybe put more determination to protect her as well? I don't know why she didn't say anything. And I mean, maybe she wanted to like surprise them and like see like, look, I was working behind the scenes. I'm not doing it for an ulterior motive, but I don't like imagine how things would have been if she said that she was looking for things. Like, they could have helped her. They could have sped the process up. Like, we could have had such a different outcome than Jenny dying and them never really knowing what she was doing. Mm-hmm. Like, there were so many chances of her actually just potentially living. And
we don't get it. I will say also, the fact that Buffy runs over to talk to her, she sets her stuff aside a little bit because she sees how this is affecting Giles, and she knows that Giles cares for her. So she sticks her neck out to try to make Giles happy, because once again, she points out, I don't want anybody to feel lonely, and I know Giles feels lonely without you, and I'm tired of him being on my side of the fence. I will open up the door to where, like, if you guys want to continue to do your thing, eventually maybe we can all connect in some way, but at least you two can still connect because he deserves to be happy. So she was really looking out for Giles because she cares for Giles. And it just makes it that much more fucking sad because she was going to be there for it. She was going to be a supporter of him and her together, no matter how she felt about Jenny, which is devastating.
Yeah.
Inside the school, she finds Giles, him telling her he found the ritual to reinvoke vampires. Cordelia nearby hearing this and coming over to state she's so thankful, having had to talk her grandmother into trading cars with her for the week. And
I can't.
Courtney fucking died. Just the way, like, whenever she pops up in the middle frame of them, Giles is eyeing her out the corner, and he's like, what the fuck do you want? Like, why are you over here? And I'm like, oh my God. She's just like,
well,
I don't know.
I'm like, why is Courtney so quick to, like, if she believes that this is the case scenario, I'm like, she legit just sacrificed her grandma to be in her car that she invited vampires into. So I'm like, you're telling me that you, with consciousness attached to this choice, told your grandma to get in your car and start driving around so you could be safe.
Better her than her. What do you expect from Cordelia?
I was like, I could.
Grandma has lived her life.
Why is the solution not to just stay the fuck at home? If you didn't invite him in your house and you're one of the few who didn't, then why is everyone not just going to Cordelia's house? Like, and don't drive anywhere in her car.
I'm really sad we didn't get the glimpse and the behind the scenes of Cordelia's grandmother driving around the car because she's got all that garlic and the crosses all in it. When you see it later, when it pulls up, I'm like, oh my God, fucking dead. But we expect this from Cordelia. Of course, she's going to put her grandma's life on the line. Like I said, Granny's lived a fucking long life. She's probably in her late 70s or so. Hopefully, I don't know. But like,
she's like, Granny's unaware that a vampire might eat her alive, so it's fine, I guess.
Shit's funny as fuck. I love Cordelia for that shit, though. That's one of the things that keep me loving her. Giles goes on to say that the ritual is easy peasy lemon squeezy, standard chants, herbs, cross hanging. As we cutscene transition magic over to Willow's room, where the three girls are in there, as Willow nails a cross to her wall, stating her dad isn't going to be so pleased with this decision to find that his only Jewish daughter is nailing the Lord Jesus' symbol on her wall, also hiding it behind her curtains, and hopes dear old dad doesn't notice because he won't even let her watch the Charlie Brown Christmas every year, which she has to sneak over to Xander's for, which is so worth it to watch him do the Snoopy dance. I had to make sure I put that in my dialogue, and I know you two know why.
I know.
In this exchange, Cordy has just been staring at Willow's fish tank, and then she goes on to ask her, Willow, are you aware that there are no fish in your aquarium? And Willow's just like, like whimpers out, and Buffy's like, okay, Cordy, you're not helping, and we already did the ritual on your car. And they did that, by the way, just to appease her, because they got to know just as much that car has nothing to do with that energy. So they went out there and blessed this fucking car and did the invocation, revocation, whatever you want to call it, so that way Cordelia felt a peace of mind. And then she's like, okay, well, you can fucking leave now. You can get out of here. Cordy is like, all right, great, and grabs her coat to go, noticing a folded paper under it, handing it over to Willow because it must be for her. Willow unfolds it, and nope, it's for Buffy, handing it over to her, us noticing it's a picture of Joyce sleeping that Angelus has drawn. Another round of cutscene transition magic as we see Joyce pulling up to their home and parking, Angelus standing on the lawn waiting for her. This moment was awesome to watch. Courtney, like, I was eyeing her. She's like, no. I'll talk about it before we actually get into the scene. Courtney, did you think that Joyce was going to be the one that something bad was going to happen to because of this? Like, Buffy was not at home because we didn't know she was home.
I thought that Buffy was going to come home and Joyce was going to be like hanging from a noose by the front door as like a decorative piece or something. Like, not to get like really crazy graphic, but you know, this is Angel we're talking about, and this whole time we've been preparing for him to do something directly to Buffy. So of course, in my head, I'm like, this is the worst case scenario. Please get this bitch in her house immediately, like immediately. So I was just saying all my prayers that Joyce got in the fucking house so she could see another joint today and have another.
It was exciting to watch her. I did a reaction video recording so that way I can make a little edit like I've been making on Instagram of Courtney's reactions to the episode. So I'll have that.
They're so cute.
I'll have that scene, right? But she takes notice to Angel on the lawn, and he like walks right up to her car and puts her hand, like she had the window down and stuff, and he just like aggressively gets all up in her shit and exclaims that he needs to talk to her. Joyce calling him by name, she's like, you're Angel. And he's like, did Buffy tell you about us? And she's like, well, she stated to me that she wanted you to leave her the fuck alone. He claims, though, that he can't do that. Joyce adding he is scaring Buffy. And by this point, she's trying to get out the car, and she's got her groceries, her fucking edible stuff that she's trying to, you know, go inside and smoke and have her fucking munchies. And he just ruins her fucking high that she had on the way home. He wants Joyce's help, though. He needs to be with her. As her mother, she can convince her. Joyce becoming a bit uneasy, but standing her ground, telling him no, what he needs to do is leave her alone. He keeps going on. She's now growing on it edge and just wants to get inside, fumbling for her keys out of her purse, causing her bag of groceries to fall to the ground, and oranges start scattering everywhere as the two try to catch them. And I love this scene because like the intensity is fucking building. You're like, is Joyce gonna get in the house? Like, he's caused her to drop her bag of groceries, and fucking, like, I know I'm saying it minutely, but it's because I have a fun fact about it later. The oranges fly everywhere. And he's like helping her gather them. So it's almost like he's being nice. Angel's telling her that she doesn't understand. He will die without Buffy and she'll die without him. Joyce scolding him to ask if he's threatening her. He begs for her to please tell him why Buffy's doing this to him. And Joyce drops her shit to head inside because she's just like, fuck it, I'm leaving this bag out here, and states that she's calling the police. Angel following after her to the door as she stresses to find the house key on the ring. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just because it's late 98 and everybody had 14 keys on their key ring, but when I go home, I mean, I've still got a few keys on my ring, but I know exactly. I mean, obviously I have a door code as well because we live in 2025, but like I always knew when I had my house key when I was, living in this era as well, which one was my fucking house key. So the fact that she's like stressed and fumbling through this just adds to the intensity.
Oh my God.
That, and I feel like it's just protocol, and maybe it's just me, and I'm like living a little bit more of a paranoid life than everyone else is, but I got my fucking house key in my hand ready to go as I'm approaching the door. Like, I'm not trying to fumble in the dark. I'm not trying to shine my phone light on my keys to see what's what. Like, I just need to get in the fucking house, and I don't even need to have a vampire present for that. I just want to get in the fucking house. So I don't know what Joyce is doing, but that's how you know she's high, because she's just like lollygagging up to her own door like, I'll deal with it then, I guess, in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
And I'm like, have your key.
She has no urgency. Like, those like trends. It was like those joke of like, imagine if Michael Myers is chasing you on TikTok and everybody was running to put the keys in. She should have been like that. Girl, where's your keys at? Where is the key? And why are you shuffling through it? Like, I mean, maybe I understand because like with Angelus, he's on her and she like now just found out the big discovery that he's
out. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, oh my God, he's and she's like, oh my God, my daughter slept with him. Like, she's like processing this while also she just dropped them bag of groceries. And
also,
now she's trying to get inside the house.
They live in the Hellmouth where all these things happen. Like, if there's any place on earth you live and you're a woman getting out of your car at night, you better have them fucking keys ready to go. Like, I don't know what she's doing.
Absolutely.
She's playing with her life.
Well, she's playing with them keys too much. And during the scene, he's telling her eerily and softly,
sleep since the night we made love. I need her. I know you understand.
Joyce looking to him in complete shock at his words too, just like the horrified look on Joyce's face whenever she takes it in, like what he's just said to her. It just smacks her hard. And she tells him that he needs to leave again as she finally gets the fucking door unlocked and goes inside, him close behind her, trying to walk in behind her. And I know that Courtney, just watching her body language, she's like, he's walking in that fucking house with her. This isn't over. But no, he stops right at the fucking threshold. And we don't know exactly what's happening yet. And then we obviously get the pan around to the inside of the house where we see Buffy and Willow coming down the stairs, Willow reading out the final words of the ritual to ensure this.
His ♦ consensus requissus est.
Buffy walking to Angel, who is stopped dead at the door frame, saying to him through gritted teeth as he looks at her baffled,
Sorry, Angel. Change the locks.
Slamming the door in his face. Ooh.
That ate. She ate that so much. Like, the saltiness on his face when he thought he was going to do something was just chef kiss. Like, yeah, go home.
Yep.
Go home and eat that puppy.
No, but like I fucking cheer every single time. Like I fist, like I'm doing it right now. Like I'm just so excited. Power move in your face, motherfucker. Literally the door is in your fucking face. Like I know that shit went right up to his fucking nose, and he's just like, God damn it. Like he thought and if anything, I mean, obviously he had Buffy that could have kicked him out and threw him through the fucking window again like she did in Angel. But like regardless, this scene is powerful. Who else here loves the fact that Willow is performing this ritual as well?
Oh my God,
like that's fucking cool. Like you would expect to see Giles here doing this. Buffy just has this awesome moment of relief, and it's the perfect, as Xander would say, na 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 approach, because that's what she does when she fucks off Angel in this. And she's like na 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 na, like you can't get me. I love it. And I noticed the chords and the music playing too. They are reminiscent of a slower, triumphant version of the Buffy theme. Whenever they're walking down the steps, you can hear that like kind of cadence to the music coming in. And we know that whenever we hear that, just like we heard the actual song in Prophecy Girl, we'll hear it later on across the series in big moments. They always have a different way whether it's done with string works or trombones, they're usually really slowed down so they don't sound like the bum, 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 but they're like drawn out. And I don't know if y'all ever paid attention to that. Go back and listen to it. You hear it. That means Buffy's taking charge. Buffy's in her power when that music cue comes in. So I was like, she's a Slayer. She's one for now.
I was going to say that, like, I think Angelus was shocked that Buffy outsmarted him in a sense. I think he kept, like, doubting how she would be because he's so used to, like, oh, well, I've done this so many times. Like, Drusilla, you know, she had a chance to escape me. She didn't. So Buffy, she's going to say the same. She's going to be all talk, no bite. And I think he got humbled that moment because he had to up his game. Because with him and her for the past few episodes, it's always been like he's been shocking her and like she hasn't been, you know, wanting to accept that Angel is now Angelus. So he like used that as a benefactor to keep triggering her in all these scenarios. And the fact that he thought he was going to do something to Joyce or find another way to get to Buffy, because in the beginning of this episode, he killed Willow's fish. He left like the Joyce drooling. He left the Buffy drooling. He's been antagonizing her, and he's shocked that she actually like, you know, stopped him in his footsteps. So then he has to like rewire a different plan on how to get to her because it failed. And she's finally taking control instead of like, you know, being scared to actually want to acknowledge that Angel is not the same anymore.
Yeah.
And I think Slayer or not, Buffy outsmarts Drusilla. So I feel like he's not used to dealing with this level of intelligence in someone that he is used to kind of having his way with and having an easier time with. So I think it's like a slap to his face, but it's also a blow to his ego, which is kind of like playing with the devil a little bit. You know what I mean? I feel like you're kind of rolling a dice too, even though you are one-upping, you're pissing him off more, which is like playing with fire. So I feel like it was an interesting way to do it because you do get that breath of relief where you're like, oh, thank God, you know, he didn't get in the house, but then you're like, fuck, what does this mean? You know, like, what's he going to do now? So
I've always wondered if Angel has ever, like, experienced this before or if he even knew it was possible, too. Like, I've always been curious about the history of this uninvitation.
Like, has he ever been slapped in the face a little bit?
Yeah, like, did they even consider that this was an option, you know?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I feel like they also kind of like hinted like Buffy and Drusilla having like some type of parallel between each other. And, you know, in this scenario, it finally broke that Buffy is not like Drusilla as much as he thought she was. Because like they did it with like the both of them wearing white and then her having dreams about like, you know, parallel to like Drusilla having a dream. So they kind of built up like how they're similar, not really similar, but like they're paralleling each other in the scenario of this sense. And this time, obviously, Buffy is not like Drusilla. So he has to up how he's going to control or like try to break her down because, you know, listen, you're kind of rusty, Angelus, like not gonna lie. So whatever you did back then is definitely different now.
Yeah.
I love it. We cut over to the school where Ginny is working on her computer as Giles enters, noticing she's working late on a special project, she assures, also letting him know that Buffy spoke to her today. Giles, surprised and curious, takes a seat, Ginny telling him that she told her that he misses her. Giles having no words, saying that she is a meddlesome girl. Ginny goes on to tell him she doesn't want to speak too fast, but she may have some news, wondering if when she finishes up here, if she can see him later, and him stating gladly that she can surely stop by his home. And I'm like, ooh, they're going to finally do it tonight. And they're going to be in his bed, but only one of them technically. He smiles the biggest smile also that we've seen him grin in a long time, and it's really fucking sweet. He's excited about this, especially now that he knows like Buffy talked to her, so he's feeling a little bit better about like not having to stand on her grounds anymore. This opening up, like I said, that playing field and the invitation for them to reinvite themselves back into each other's lives. And he leaves as she watches him go, then gets back to work. And this is like just the second time that I'm going to bring it up, that this is the last time Giles with Hope sees Ginny alive. And it's really fucking sad because they have this interaction. He's going home excited that he's going to see her later on that evening or wherever he's going, because obviously he stops off at Buffy's and all that stuff. But so I'll just keep it at that. Over at the magic shop, the owner is locking up when he hears the door chime, hollering out that they are closed, then noticing real quick that this is not a human that stands before him. We see Drusilla step in with that fucking puppy that she's been carrying around all damn episode. Sunshine.
So cute.
As he asks in fear what she wants, because he takes notice real quick that like this is something not great. I don't know if he knows about vampires or knows that she's a vampire, just knows she's there with ill intentions because he's obviously a magical practitioner, whatever, but he senses the negative vibes. Drusilla telling him that Miss Sunshine here wants to know what him and the mean teacher talked about. And once again, she can't just be like, I need to know. She's like, I gotta go through this damn dog. She's just, her lunatic fucking insanity ridden mind is just wilding all the fucking time. And then we cut back over to the school as Ginny is deep into her work, finally hitting the point of finishing as the text appears syncing and transcribing as she hoped. That's it. She did it. She is stoked. This is going to work, saving the files on a floppy disk and setting it aside as she cues the printer to print her pages of the text. She watches the files print out and she catches out of her peripheral someone sitting in a student's desk in the room with her, gasping when she realizes that this is Angelus before her, standing up and backing away from the door and wondering how he got in there. Duh, bitch, it's a school public domain. Tyler, you want to go on your tangent about this?
So weird, because she's like, how did you get in here? And it's like, well, vampires have always been able to get inside of the school. One, he's come in multiple times.
So have
and
other
like,
ones,
also,
Darla.
I don't buy that it's because there's Latin on the ceiling that says like, all who seek knowledge are welcome. It's just, it's a public space.
Exactly. I think
nobody lives there.
I think they just wanted to give them the chance to speak some Latin and for her to understand it, to give them like a little bit of an extra
I think that they were probably going for this like, oh yeah, wow kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those like, they never bring it back up. It's never like talked about again. It's one of those weird like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
It's kind of dumb too that they put it in there. I mean, I get her asking. I think she should have asked it differently so we weren't sitting in this position as people like analyzing stuff or like taking notice to it, because most people probably don't even pay it any attention. But us, you know, freaks of nature with the Buffy universe and vampire lore and all that stuff, you kind of get in this context where she asks like, how did you get in here? I think she should have meant like, I didn't hear you come in. That makes more sense because she didn't know that he was in the room. How did you get in here like without me hearing you? Like, once again, just the same way Buffy was getting her face petted all fucking night long and whatever else he was doing, who knows. It is really weird. And that is
like the first thing you see in the show is like a vampire going into the school.
Darla. Yeah.
Like that is the first scene.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just like, so like, it's like nobody questioned whether or not they could come into the school with an invitation or not.
Yeah. You're not the first one to point this out and stuff like that. Simple answer, it's public domain. She tries to tell him about the good news, but he's already heard that she went shopping at the local 𝒏𝒈 store, picking up the orb sitting on her desk as it glows in his hand, him commenting on how he remembers this little item is supposed to summon a person's soul from the ether, but you know what he hates most about them, slinging it at the chalkboard as it shatters into dust, snarking,
They're so damn fragile. Must be that shoddy gypsy craftsmanship, huh?
and like, I'm gonna shout out something that I heard in Prophecy Girls podcast whenever they covered this episode, and they actually just brought it up for a future episode on their coverage of Angel. Steph says that this bothers her whenever men have this outrage outburst, like when he throws the glass and Ginny like fucking shudders and freaks out. Like, that's a woman, like their natural engagement. Oh my god, this guy's gonna hurt me. Like, you know, plenty of people have it, like when your boyfriend or husband or whoever gets enraged because they're an alcoholic and they throw that fucking glass across the thing because they've had enough and you know your face is next type vibe. It kind of triggers that. And I never knew how to put that into words, that sense of like fear that I get when he throws the thing. But I think Steph over there on Prophecy Girls like labeled that so well to the type of like reaction like that's guttural that you get of like, oh shit, this is like him acting out saying this isn't even the worst that's about to happen. I'm gonna break your little doodad and then I'm gonna break your fucking face. So shit's scary as fuck. Moving over to do the same thing to the computer next, tipping it off the desk, it sparking on the floor, causing a small fire, him ripping up the pages that have just printed out because they bring back bad memories, and burning up the pages she printed. Jenny's like, that's your, and he's like, oops, my cure. And now that's killed two birds with one stone. And then he kneels down over the flames to quote unquote warm his hands because, you know, he's cold, but also warmth does nothing for him. But he's also just being a smart ass. I mean, he's fucking around right now and looking back up at her, having changed into vamp face and snarling at her, commenting, and the teacher makes 3. And here's where we all start to shit our pants, because at this point she's been inching away from the door. She goes to run for the other door on the other side of the classroom, and he tackles her, grabs her, rips her, and throws her through the fucking door frame. And as soon as we see her sling back up, we see she's busted her head open. She's got a big gush of blood draining down the side of her face, and then she runs off in terror. And here starts an awesome ass chase sequence, one of my favorite ones in Buffy. It gives horror movie vibes, like Michael Myers stalking you, Jason following you, Freddy Krueger taunting you in your dreams and coming after you. That horror, that terror is fucking real. And before he runs off after her, he states to himself, oh good, I need to work up an appetite first. She runs through the school trying hard to escape with him hot on her tail, her barely escaping every time that he gets close to her, but drawing out the chase. At one point, she makes it into the new hallway and slings a janitor cart at at him, knocking him down and thinking that she's got away, only to run up into him at the top of the staircase on the second level of the school, right in front of that main school entrance arched window frame. She screams out as he catches her, and then he just laughs in her face, shushing her with his finger, telling her,
Sorry, Jenny. This is where you get off.
before violently breaking her neck, turning away from her, dropping her body to revel in the kill for himself.
I never get tired of doing that.
Courtney, you have to speak first. Like, how do you feel? What do you think?
I am devastated in this moment. I had like this very small percentage of delusion where I was like, maybe her neck didn't snap all the way and maybe she'll just get up and, you know, maybe something else. You know, you have this like really delusional glimmer of hope. I'm sure the same way you would if like someone you actually knew in real life like had something happen to them and you're like, no, this can't be true. So that's where I was for a good rest of the episode, and basically until we see her tombstone is when it really got validated. So I was just searching for hope still in this moment. I wasn't letting it be real, basically, because it was just like too sad to be real, and that's where I was. That was my journey in this moment, because he just leaves her, and like you mentioned, or both of you, I think, or all of you maybe, that he doesn't bite her, he doesn't drain her, he doesn't do what you would kind of anticipate if such a situation does unfold. He doesn't do it in this way that you see it coming, and then when it doesn't feel like this follow through, I guess that's why it created a sense of delusion. So I was like, maybe there's hope, maybe she's alive. Like, I have no idea, because then we don't really see obviously anything else until we later see where she's at, but it just appears that he's just left her there, you know. So I almost didn't have time to be sad, because as much as I had hope, now I'm worried about Giles. And I'm like, well, how's he going to find her? When's he going to show up to the school? Like, all these things are like now playing in my head, you know. But yeah, it just seemed like such an insult, like you guys said about him. It seemed like he wasted her, kind of, in his sense, you know, for his sake anyway. So
yeah, I have more to say, but just the initial draw out of the whole chase scene, you almost... Like, I read this in reviews and on multiple ones for this episode, that most people upon original watch was like just expecting, like any other episode, Buffy to show up in the nick of time, like her to be there and throw his ass through the fucking arch window or something like that. But that did not happen, and that's what fucking shocked everybody. I wrote in my notes that it's been torture knowing that this was coming. This is another obviously big moment I couldn't wait for Courtney to see, and the fact that she was rooting for Giles and Jenny, wanting them to get married and have a life together, like knowing that was not going to be the case was killing me. You should have known wanting the best of them wasn't going to be the outcome. So that's that. But this scene is horrific. Like, this the thing that changed the course of the show, that put this show on the map. This is the first time we were truly left speechless, stunned. I remember the first time I saw it, I audibly screamed out at my box TV in my bedroom. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and then I started crying. I like started getting really emotional and sad. And then obviously it kicked in later whenever like the tombstone came up, and I knew that Jenny was just really dead when Giles found her body and all that too. But it just makes you so sad and angry and jealous because of the pleasure that he takes in the act. His words to Jenny also, where he states like, this is where you get off, it carries a sexual vibe and innuendo, like, because this motherfucker is also getting off himself to this. It's just that connotation it carries, and like, it's just fucked up, because this is where Jenny's story ends, and this is what makes the show, parts of it, a fucking tragedy in some cases. So this scene is shocking.
Watching it the first time, I definitely cried. It's definitely on YouTube, maybe still. But it was crazy to watch, because for me, I just never expected that. And like, for me, obviously, I love Angel as a character. So I was like, damn, like, how can I come back to like ever enjoying Angel again after he did something like this? Like, you watch Giles and like everybody had this bond with Jenny. Like, I even loved Jenny when she first came. I was so excited for Giles to have somebody to be romantically invested in, and then you watch her and how she helped everybody, and then you get this conflicted feeling of like, damn, like she tried her best. Like, even though when you're watching it, or at least week to week, or like binging it, you're kind of still on the edge of like, how should you feel about Jenny pertaining to if she could have helped prevent this or whatever. But just knowing that, like you're so used to Buffy coming in and saving people. She saved her friends so many times. She saved regular bystanders so many times. So you're waiting for Buffy to like have another triumph on Angel, or Angelus, as I should say, and get Jenny, and then they bond and like they forgive each other, and then everything works fine. And just the fact that it just kept going, like the running sequence kept going, and then you keep thinking like, okay, maybe Jenny's going to survive this. I legit thought she was going to survive this when she got to that second floor. I thought Angela's ass was going to still be on that floor after he took off that bucket and mop. I was like, oh, he's done. Like, he's going to sit down and give another shot, because he always like gives up sometimes. That I don't even know how he got up there. And I was just so in disbelief that like, I don't even know what I felt. I don't know if I thought he was going to turn into a vampire or not. But I know that just like watching how he just didn't give a fuck to even like give her a special death, which is crazy to say, but like you would think that he would have done something more demented or something, like, or maybe bite her. It's like releasing the message, but he did it so fast. It's as if he just didn't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't even take pleasure in that. He just wanted her out the way because he knew that his soul was probably going to be reclaimed that night or tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And you kind of see Antis kind of panic a little bit, because like if Drusilla never got that, he would have probably had a soul. But then the next 2 episodes, yep. And I think that was more important than going to Buffy, because he needed her out the way efficiently. Because if Buffy already outsmarted him with like getting the spell to like barricade him from entering any houses, he was going to get that soul. And it was kind of like, you kind of see like a weakness in Angelus, because he taunted her for a little bit and he said, I'm getting you the fuck out the way. And then then once he was gone, he reclaimed that, like, that little like, oh, yep, everything's going perfectly fine now. And then he did his sick ass way with putting her on that bed.
Yeah. If anything, that shit that happened at the house pissed him off, and he went off to Jenny to handle that next, because obviously Drusilla had filled him in and all that other stuff. And it kind of sucks, because he was able to just like finally do the thing that he's been wanting to do, like have this big moment, like he tried to do with Xander last episode when he ripped him out the fucking window at Buffy's house when all the girls were attacking him, and was going to kill Xander before Drusilla helped and all that stuff. So he was like, this will work. Like, I've been trying to find the perfect gift for Buffy, like for Valentine's Day, and that didn't succeed. Like you said, he's been backing down after every single time. And this was his way to finally be like, this is going to fucking hurt them. And obviously he takes pleasure in it. I did want to point out too, the way he got up there, the actual layout of that archway, there's 2 staircases that go up to a U shape to connect to the bar, like in the actual school itself. So he ran up the other side, and that's how he met her, because there's 2 entrances that fan up in a U shape to get up to that archway.
No way.
I could repeat what everybody said, but I think what's particularly interesting about this moment in the show is that you watch a lot of like WB, CW teen shows, and the adults are kind of like not an afterthought, but they're not like the main focus. It's usually about the teen drama, their love relationship, whatever. So it's commendable to me that the show, even from the beginning, sets up this Giles thing that almost Giles and Jenny thing that almost everybody falls in love with when they first watch it. And it's like one of the things that really kind of, there are other things that do it, but I think it's one of the driving feel good things in the beginning of the show, where you're like watching them like kind of like have their thing happen. And so to have the first really major death and heartbreak happen to the adults that would otherwise be, one, the protectors of the younger people, and also something that teens wouldn't really care about, is just really smart, and something that not a lot of shows in this genre would really do.
I like that you bring that up. That's true.
I was going to say, too, something I was thinking is that it worked out best for Angel, I think, in this situation, because now that he knows Buffy's smarter than him, because she's already outsmarted him once and gotten a couple of steps ahead of him, I feel like he can tell just by having been her boyfriend and being intimately involved with her that the one thing that's Buffy's weakness is her feeling guilty over the repercussions of her being the Slayer and what that means for the other people in her life. And so I feel like even though it wasn't Xander and it wasn't Joyce and it ended up being Jenny, and he did what we're about to get into with that, he knew that her being hurt by the guilt that she's now going to carry over all of this happening, especially for Giles, would cause weakness in her, so it's like they're both rolling the dice with each other. Like, either this is going to like destroy you, or it's going to make you more pissed off and enrage you, but I'm willing to take the risk. And he's constantly taking the risk because he's constantly trying to knock her down and make her weaker and make her a weaker opponent, because I think he knows, he's starting to get the picture that he should be scared, he should be intimidated, and he has to be one step ahead. And the only way that he might be able to do that is to have that little piece of guilt, that he is creating for the other people. So I feel like that's also another reason why, this whole display of Jenny and all the things had to happen too. So as much as it was like Drusilla, like I think Brandon pointed it out too before we started recording, that if Drusilla would not have these visions or kept her fucking mouth shut, then we wouldn't be here for Angel to know that he needed to go after Jenny. I think that it was ironically his own words. He got to kill two birds with one stone, literally and figuratively speaking, because he knew that it was going to backfire and hurt Buffy the most at the end. It does hurt Giles and all of us watching and everyone else, but Buffy carries that guilt and that burden, and that is what she's going to have to now walk like forth with and face him. So that makes it even more difficult, I think.
All right.
I had to psychoanalyze.
The worst is over. But no.
No.
Over at Buffy's, Giles arrives and is there to collect his book and ask how the spell went when greeted by Willow, saying that he will need to do his place that night. Willow tells him that the spell went fine until Angel showed up and told Joyce about him and Buffy. Well, not having the words to say that they had sex is like, you do know, right? And Giles is like, oh, yes, I get it. And she's like,
Oh, good. Because I just realized that being a librarian and all, you maybe didn't know.
That's just so funny. I like it. And I was telling Courtney, it's like fucked up because it's the little bit of humor we needed after the last scene. But most people are still processing their first time watching it, that you can't accept this little bit of like ha-ha moment that Willow normally goofily has. Willow quickly does shoo Giles off, though, on account of Buffy is upstairs having a talk with her mom, and he hasn't the words to intervene on her behalf, because I like that whole interaction too. She's like, well, what would you say? And he's like, oh, you know what? You're actually right. I will have no idea what to fucking even add to this conversation, so I'm going to dip out. But trying to be that father figure, so these are already the breadcrumbs we see as Giles acting more as dad versus watcher. Upstairs, Buffy is explaining to Joyce the stuff with the Latin and herbs is just because Angel is superstitious. Joyce blatantly asking if he was the first. No, wait, she doesn't want to know. At least she doesn't think so. Buffy assuring he was the only. Joyce scolds her about her irresponsibility and him being older than her, and obviously how he's not very stable in making bad decisions. Wishing she had shown better judgment. Buffy sadly telling her that he wasn't like this at first. Joyce wondering if she's in love with him. Buffy clarifying that she was. Then Joyce asking if she was careful, aka if he wrapped his tool before the pool. And Buffy is embarrassed about this question, wanting to avoid it. Joyce getting angry-ish to say that this is important because she had sex with a boy that she didn't even see fit to tell her that she was dating. Buffy admitting her mistakes. And I like this because she's like, I get it. Like, and you can kind of see that sincerity, which is, I think, what helps fuel the positive vibes to come out from this conversation at the end versus Joyce leaving the room being like, well, stay the fuck up here. You know what I mean? Like we've seen in the past. Joyce hella agrees with the fact that Buffy has made mistakes, and Buffy has to stress that she does really know that. I was saying Buffy can't tell her mom everything, though, and Joyce scolds,
How about anything? Buffy, you can shut me out of your life. I am pretty much used to that. But don't expect me to ever stop caring about you, because it's never going to happen. I love you more than anything in the world.
taking a seat next to her, calmly collecting herself to state that's Buffy's cue to roll her eyes and tell her that she's grossing her out. And Buffy just states that she's not, because she's being an understanding daughter and actually having, you know, what kind of relationship I would have always loved to have had with my parents, where it could be like, we can have the tough conversation. It can be very reciprocal, but we also don't have to raise the problem, or we can kind of meet at the same level and like take it positive. You know what I mean? Not end it with a big blow up or like negative interactions. Like Joyce does good momming here. Apparently that Parenting 101 book is really coming in clutch, but Joyce takes a breath and mentions how she guesses that was the talk. Buffy wondering how it went. Joyce laughing to say, I don't know, it was my first. And I like it because it ends on a really positive note. Like that we've seen all these talks like in moments where Buffy and Joyce have kind of combated and almost had, I wouldn't say, because Joyce is always very much in her authoritative role. She's always being a mom that like kind of tells her daughter, like, you know, you fucked up. I have to teach you right from wrong. So I've got to divvy out punishment. I've got to make you grounded, like whatever the case. But usually she kind of like doesn't really always give Buffy the chance to speak. And here she kind of lets her a little bit, but she's also very understanding because like, the worst is already done. Her daughter's already had sex. Like she probably expected this with the fact that she closes it off with like, well, I guess that was the talk. Like 16, 17-year-old going on to the age when kids typically leave the house, 18 and all that. Like, she's already set up in her mind, like, my daughter possibly is going to have sex. You know, she's dating. She goes out to this bronze club all the time. She's doing these teenager things. So she had to know that this was a step in her adolescence to go towards that threshold of maturity. So I don't know. I like how Joyce handles it. It's a super sweet scene. And I like that they have this tucked in here and they didn't just not give us this opportunity to see how mom and daughter deal with the issues of having the classic, you had sex talk, having the parenting tips then thereafter, and Joyce just being like, well, you're my only kid, so I've never done this before, so I guess we did it okay type thing.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, with Joyce, she can't really tell, or, like, she doesn't know, like, fully what Buffy is dealing with. So this is, like, one of the, like, real scenarios where she can relate to Buffy, or at least give her, you know, motherly advice, because the only time we really kind of seen them, like, have a, like, talk to talk was kind of, like, with Ted, which was, like, jokingly, like, you know, we're not going to date, let's watch a movie. This was the first time you really get to see Joyce at least get an insight of Buffy's life in some way, because Buffy cannot open up to her fully as she wants to. So this was the only instance where Joyce was able to, like, see Buffy as raw as she could. And it kind of just sucks that with Joyce, this is the first time she's having a conversation with Buffy about something that a mom would give to her daughter. And it just kind of, it's like it's too late now, because, like, once again, Buffy already had her first time, and she got the, like, cliche of sometimes once a girl gives a guy her virginity, they switch and act differently. So this was the only, like, talk that Joyce could give her. And it sucks that it had to be in this way when it was too late, and when, you know, Angelus is showing, like, the obsessed boyfriend tendency of he can't give up and that he'll do whatever it takes to get her. And even though, you know, in a sense, it's like, well, Joyce doesn't know the severity or the supernatural nature of it, she still gave the stern mom, but also the mom that's still there for her to open up. And I really enjoyed the discussion between them, because some people say that Joyce is not a good mom. And I feel like this is one of the situations where you see that, like, she genuinely cares for Buffy, even if y'all might not like how she does it or approach things.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's cool too to just note that, like, the past couple episodes we've seen these girls interacting. Like, they've been home, like I said, on Valentine's Day hanging out. She's been going shopping with her mom, and, like, they've been, like, spending mom and daughter time. So I think that helped fuel the reaction that we get from Joyce. Like, even though she says that you never talk to me, you never talk about your feelings and stuff, Buffy did just sit at the table and tell you about what was going on and open up about, you know, the Angel situation. So all of this just kind of, like, has led to this conversation. Whereas if Buffy had just been quiet like she was in the past, or, like, oh, still getting in trouble or whatever, then Joyce could have had a different reaction than what we got here. We move over to Giles arriving at his home to a red rose on his door. Hearing music playing inside, he enters and finds a note by a bottle of champagne that says upstairs. Amongst candles lit, he sees floral petals are scattered all across the house, roses on the fucking stairway leading up. Little intricate candles are placed up the stairway as well. Like, this motherfucker spent time in here. And as Buffy calls it, the wrapping for the gift. He grabs the bottle and moves upstairs with the glasses in anticipation to find Jenny up in his bedroom of the loft. Making it to the top, and we see her lying motionless, eyes open on his bed, staring at him dead. He realizes real quick that she is not alive, dropping the bottle to the floor and shattering the glasses. The look on his face, stunned. And he's horrified too, because it hits the crescendo of that music that, like, whoever that opera singer, he hits that fucking heavy bravado, and it's like bringing in, like, the fucking clash of all the fucking music. We know Giles to be a musician, and he likes to listen to music and have all kinds of, like, music that's out there. And he chose this specific song, and there's, like, some lyrics in it whenever you translate because I don't know if the song's, like, in French or, like, what language it's in. Italian maybe, because a lot of opera tends to be in Italian. There's all the little subtle things in there, so it's very specific. I just didn't choose to dive into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, this is where we find out Jenny's dead, and we're all horrified by the fact that she's laying there in his bed, and he played this like it was a game. He wanted this to be beautiful for Giles to come home to, and it's obviously not.
Yeah, it's just so sick on how the timing was with Angela's killing Jenny, because he prepped it up as if it's like a let's get together dinner, which in your mind you're like, oh, well, Jenny and Giles are potentially in talks of getting back together. So you're like, oh, Jenny did this, like, cute thing for Giles. So that's what he's thinking. He's like, oh, well, she did all this for me. Like, you know, we're about to finally get together. And then somehow Angela just knew to make it a perfect thing to align with that, to where Giles is thinking that this is all just a regular ass situation, not knowing that he's walking into a dead body. So, like, the timing of it all is just so perfect for Angelus, because Giles thinks it's something as a romantic get together, while Angelus is using it to play
that
him.
they just planned.
Yeah, it's like he just knew that they were having a conversation and potentially getting back together, and said, oh, this is perfect. I can just use this and shock him right there. Like, it's just so wild. God.
Well, we get some in-scene transition magic to the same expression still on Giles's face as the look of horror has settled in, as cops are in his home and he stands by the door as they do their work. Coroners removing the body on a stretcher, obviously covered up. Cops saying that he needs to come with them, but first Giles needs to make a phone call, which they allow as he moves over to the phone. And I like this too because like Giles, even in this mindset where he's like in a daze, he answers back to the police. He's like, yes, procedure. Like I understand how this all happens because he's obviously done this before with other people in his past and whatnot, and especially alludes to like the comments he makes later about Jenny at the grave. But the fact that he's just standing there like in horror, but he has to go through these motions now, it's just devastating because this is physically something to him, and this is why he gives the like ending speech that he kind of gives. We move over to outside Buffy's house as Angelus appears looking in her window, ready to narrate his monologue, watching Willow and Buffy walk through her dining room.
Passion is the source of our finest moments, the joy of love, the clarity of hatred, and the ecstasy of grief.
The phone rings and Buffy runs back to it, answering it and happy to hear Giles. We can barely hear her words very clearly, but we can see the expression on her face change as Angel looks in smiling as her face grows sour and she appears stunned, in shock. Willow coming up behind her, Buffy handing over the phone to her as she backs into the wall, gripping with what she's just heard. Willow takes the phone and questions Giles. Then as Buffy drops to the floor, Willow shouts softly, "What? No," and hangs up and goes into crying hysterics. And this is like where my heart always starts to break, just seeing Willow's like the way Allison tucks her lip in and just does this. They all do it so well. Obviously Buffy's kind of going to a catatonia and she's getting tears in her eyes, but Willow is just so vulnerable. We've never seen Willow just like cry this way before. We've seen her cry last episode with Xander, but for a completely different reason when she's holding the axe and she's like, "I'd rather see you dead than with that bitch." Like that's a different feel. That's like anger tears. This is sorrow tears, and we cry hardcore when Willow fucking starts crying. It always hits me. I told Courtney as the scene was approaching, I was like, this is the second part of this episode that just rips my heart apart. Joyce runs into the room and asks what's wrong and consoles her in her arms as they start to run deeper into their tears. Buffy just looking down in more shock, her tears falling down her cheeks as she buries her head in her knees, taking in what's happened. The scene's fucking horrifying. If you actually read in the script, it gives you what Giles says, and he literally just says to her, he's like, "It's Jenny, Angel has killed her," and that's like what he says to Buffy, and then he says the exact same thing, reiterates it to Willow on the phone, and the scene is just hard to see. And then like the fact Angela smirking and pleased with the pain that he's caused backs away to leave. Courtney was like, "Fuck you," like to my TV. Like she was like, "Are you fucking serious? You're out here smiling at this?" And I'm like, of course he's fucking smiling. Like me and her just looked at each other and me and her both just had this like feeling. And I was just like, I love that you're experiencing this. Like I love that her expressions fuck this. And this type of shit, like I love the Angelus arc, but this is just one of those other moments that just make you be like, I fucking hate Angel. I fucking go cut his head off. Go cut his head off. Beat his ass. Do whatever you got to do. Kill this motherfucker.
Totally.
Do y'all have anything to say before I move along?
Let's kill Angel.
All right.
Honestly.
We clip to see Cordelia arriving at Buffy's house with Xander. Buffy asking where is Giles, them telling her he wasn't at the station when they arrived, cops saying that he left. Buffy asking if Cordy will drive them to his house. She agrees, and Willow questions wouldn't he want to be left alone, but not worrying about what Giles wants. She is worried about what he's going to do. As we see Giles in his home packing weapons into a bag. I like this music too because it's like suspenseful, like the clicking, like you can hear like cool snapping like in the background too, which is almost the same kind of music we were hearing building up. I didn't speak on the music. I know I talked about it in the beginning, but like when Jenny, like before Angel throws the orb, you hear those clicking like little finger snaps in it. You hear those again here. Whenever Giles is going through on his mission to pack up his house, and he grabs all this shit. He's got the gas can, he's got the crossbow, he's grabbed a baseball bat, all shoved it into this bag. And when he leaves out the house, we pan down on that sketch of Jenny's face dead that Angel has sketched out for him that he also left. The gang arrive and Giles is not there, noticing that all Giles' weapons are gone. His good weapons, the ones for company whenever they come to visit. They wonder where he is. Buffy saying he will be heading to Angel, which means the factory. Cordy stating so Giles is going to try try to kill Angel then? Xander remarking, well, it's about time someone did. Willow scolding his name in his words. I like that. She's like, Xander. And he's like, no.
I'm sorry, but let's not forget that I hated Angel long before you guys jumped on the bandwagon. So I think I deserve a little something for not saying I told you so long before now. And if Giles wants to go after the fiend that murdered his girlfriend, I say faster, pussycat, kill.
Buffy agrees with Xander. She's like, you're right, but there's only one problem with Giles' little revenge scenario. It's going to get him killed, which would totally be the case. I want to commentate just a little bit on this because I know the Xander spectrum of things and the hate, and this will help build for later stuff. Xander, on the side where I'm okay with the stuff and like not getting into the crazy Xander tangent shit, Xander had his friend Jesse that he lost in the beginning of the series, and this is where like his fuel on hating vampires kind of takes place. He is very expressive on the fact that he's like, I don't like vampires, and then he's upset by Buffy dating obviously Angel whenever it comes out because he's a vampire, and obviously he has that whole realm of his jealousy because he didn't get Buffy first. We've like talked about that numerous times, and that's a big fueler for why he doesn't like Angel also. But the fact that he's now killed somebody they care about, it's like almost he had seen this coming or knew the dangers of this, even though Buffy wanted to like not see these red flags that could be of the potential of this happening. It's like this whole thing. So like, I'm glad that Buffy says you're right in this versus being like, what the fuck, dude? But at this point, this is also tying in as well with the ending statement that Buffy gives about like what's preparing her for just to know that Angel has to be gone now. Like, this isn't the same guy. He's doing these awful, heinous acts now. So now we got to get him the fuck out of here. Over at the factory, Spike is calling Angel insane. He was supposed to just kill the bitch, not leave gag gifts in a friend's beds. Drusilla remarking, but the bad teacher was going to restore Angel's soul. And he's like, good, I prefer the Buffy whipped Angelus anyway.
This new improved one is not playing with the full sack. I love a good slaughter as much as the next bloke. But his little pranks will only leave us with one incredibly brassed-off slayer. Don't worry, roller boy.
He's got everything under control, and he does not, because a Molotov cocktail lands on the fucking table right there before them, setting it on fire, and then they grow alarmed. Spike and Drew moving out of the way as Angel clears into the open, a crossbow bolt landing in his shoulder as Giles appears with the baseball bat, dipping its end in the flames to ignite it, and then beginning to smack Angelus with it numerous times across the fucking face. And I love that shit. Like, he just looks so fucking badass. He dips that shit and just whop. Like, I'm like, he playing baseball with that motherfucker's head. And he gets a good few swings in, but Angelus snarks. He's like, gee, whatever happened to wooden stakes? As Giles continues to bash him. Drew almost stepping in, and I like this because Spike grabs her arm so quick, and he's like, no fair going into the ring unless he tags you first. Keeping her back, obviously, totally, so he can watch Angel get beat down, because he's liking the fact that Angel's getting his ass kicked right now, because he does not like his ass. So this is perfect. Like, it has nothing to do with Drusilla. Like, honestly, as vampires, they should just all free for all on his ass right now and rip him up. But thankfully, Angel's done the wrong thing, and this is where it's coming back to pun, bite him in the ass, because he doesn't have his friends on his side. He grows tired of it and knocks the bat from Giles' hands, hoists him up by the neck, very powerfully too, because he picks Giles all the way the fuck up, stating,
all right, you've had your fun, but you know what it's time for now?
In-scene transition magic to Buffy coming in at the best moment to kick Angel in the face and free Giles, stating, we love this fucking shit. Buffy goes into battle with Angelus, whipping his ass as he tries to flee upstairs. She chases him up there, and I like that because she uses the boxes to get up to the second level real quick because he's already lunged up there. The two go into more hand-to-hand combat. Buffy kicking his ass. Like, he gets like 2 licks in, I think. She's like, at some point, she's like, you know, does that thing where she's like ripping him side to side between the fucking bars, and then she throws him down in the corner. She's like punching him repeatedly, kicking him, and Angelus distracts her by saying, you really just gonna let your old man burn? And then she distracts herself, looking down to see Giles passed out, you know, the flames engulfing around him. Angelus uses this moment to scoop her and throw her over the banister and runs off. Also, he's escaping. Like, this is awful. Like, this could have been her moment, because she was fueled enough to finally stake him, probably get rid of him, but whatever. Buffy falls to her feet below, moving over to help Giles get up and get out of the building. When they exit, Giles shoves her off of him and begins to yell at her, questioning why did she come here? This wasn't her fight. Her sending a fist to his face for the second time in the show, because the first time we saw her punch him was in the middle of Prophecy Girl, knocking him down to his feet, yelling at him, are you trying to get yourself killed? As she just runs to him and hugs onto him, crying, you can't leave me. I can't do this alone. The factory burning down behind them as we flash over to outside of 𝑔iao's home, him arriving, ripping down the caution tape to enter. The conclusion to Angel's monologue playing over the scene. It hurts sometimes more than we can bear. If we could live without passion, then maybe we know some kind of peace, but we would be hollow. Empty rooms, shuttered and dank. Without passion, we'd be truly dead. We arrive on a sunny day at Jenny Calendar's gravestone as Giles lays white roses onto it, standing there with Buffy at his side, commenting to her, in the years as Watcher, he's buried too many people, but Jenny was the first that he loved. Buffy apologizes. She's sorry she couldn't kill Angel for him, for her, which was so sad. She looks over at her grave when she says that. When she had the chance, the two just stare at Jenny's grave as Buffy closes out our last scene, monologuing herself.
I wasn't ready. But I think I finally am.
Pausing as we see Willow enter Jenny's classroom to a room full of students, saying hi and explaining Snyder has asked her to take over the class until the new computer science teacher arrives, and she will just be sticking to the lesson plans that she left behind. Buffy's quote coming back in as Willow moves behind Jenny's desk, setting her books and papers down. Knocking the yellow floppy disk Jenny saved the curse on off and it falling between the desk and the filing cabinet.
I can't hold on to the past anymore. Angel is gone. Nothing's ever gonna bring him back.
We fade to black, and here endeth the episode. Jesus fucking Christ.
And the crowd went wild.
And we all shook our Kleenex in the air.
We all were dehydrated.
So fucking sad. My biggest grievance with this episode is obviously the death of Jenny and the fact that she wasn't able to carry out her final task to ensoul Angel. She wanted to make amends after being shunned by the group. She researched on her own, deciphered how to do it. She got the orb, was going to perform the ritual. She knew this would be a step to making things right and wanted that badly, which goes to show how much she cared for these people that she had grown to know. And Angelus killed her, ended her life too young, and created an emotional scar for our gang, a heaviness that will be carried by them throughout life. And I'd love to say that this is the last time that this will happen, but I think we all know that that's never the case for these people. So to that, I just end this with saying, rest in peace, Jenny, our techno-pagan, sarcastic, and fun-witted Giles-loving lady. We will not forget you.
We love our techno-pagan.
I have the sticker on my laptop right here. It's literally so cute.
Do you?
Yeah,
it says techno-pagan?
It's so cute.
I love it.
He really does. It's actually really cute.
And it's on my laptop.
Oh, I didn't think he was lying.
Do you guys have anything y'all want to close out on before we get into Buffy Fun Facts and close out?
No, we're all crying.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see the reactions going forth.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so great, you guys. She's so fucking cool.
Have a
I love
fun
more
ride.
than anything that she cried at the very end, like 2 of the episodes. She was flooding tears, and I was just like, well, if it happened here, I know it'll happen in specific other places too. Because it took forever.
I could figure
I'm
it
not
out.
She was gonna
ready.
cry.
We've been waiting. I mean, the first podcast I recorded with you guys, I think Courtney was like, I love Giles and Jenny. I love them
I do.
so
Yeah,
much. I was
you
like,
were here for it first, Tyler. It's true. Yeah, I've always been on the bandwagon for the 2 of them, and I was hoping we'd get an episode of their wedding, a Giles and Jenny wedding episode. It's not to come, so that's sad.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you, had mentioned it in the middle, but I don't know if you brought it back up. You had mentioned the
about to get to it.
oranges. I think I know what you were going to talk about. Should I bring it
Yeah,
up?
if you want me to, so I'll jump into Buffy Fun Facts. Here's our Buffy Fun Facts. You guys are BFFs.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you say it, and if you don't say it right, then I'll fill in the blanks.
Well, it's like
Correct.
it's like if I don't say it right, I was like, isn't like oranges used? It's in The Godfather, right? And it's like foreshadowing somebody's death or something, or it always foreshadows that something bad is going to happen, and they kind of reincorporate that.
That's our
in
first
this.
fun fact.
It happens in other films
Absolutely,
too.
yes. The oranges are significant. That's why I put them in the script, because it's a frequent symbol that was used in the Godfather film series, foreshadowing tragedy when they appear before a character's death. Like oranges are just like an iconic thing. So that's why I want to put it out, because obviously after we have that occurrence with them at home, we go right over to the school where Jenny dies shortly afterwards. So that's our first Buffy Fun Facts presented by both myself and Tyler. Remembering Jenny by Christoph Beck and Anthony Stewart Head is the song that we hear at the very end, that music that plays. And fun fact about that, Anthony Stewart Head is the hums that we hear in the score for that if you listen to the actual score like that. I mean, I don't know how to, I'm not going to hum it here for everybody. I'll put a little clip in here right now for people to hear it. But yeah, that's Giles or Anthony actually doing the song for that, which makes it that much more powerful that he was a hand in the Remembering Jenny song. So cute that they asked him to come do that. Jonathan and the other student that came into the library to borrow books, the only people other than Owen and Never Kill a Boy on the First Date to do so. So Tyler's just like apparently helping me out with my fun facts because he pointed out that Owen had been in there earlier too, which I love.
Girl, I'm obsessed.
Jenny is the fourth high school staff to be murdered. First, we had Dr. Gregory, then the She-Mantis, which was Natalie French, which technically she was a substitute teacher. And then we had Principal Flutie, and now we have Jenny. So 4 teachers or staff members at Sunnydale High have died in the span of 21, 22 episodes or some shit like that. Maybe a little bit more. Crazy. And then my last Buffy fun fact is the spell in Latin that Willow says. It translates to, by these words, consent is rescinded. So that was the actual words that helped to revoke a vampire's presence.
Wait, did you know this? I'm looking at the wiki. I didn't know this. I'm looking at like the wiki page for this episode, and it says that Ed Sheeran sampled the track Remembering Jenny.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I obviously didn't add that in. I don't remember why, because I source the Buffy Wikipedia page all the time to like help with a lot, and I don't remember if I just didn't see it. I've heard that before. Yeah, I can't remember what song it is. I have it on my phone.
It's like a Fire Love.
Yeah,
I don't even know that song.
I'm not either. That's probably why I left it out.
With me.
I did not want his name mentioned in my podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's okay.
Sorry.
No, Tyler's coming in with the Buffy fun facts. I'm going to call him every week to be like, can you help me record the Buffy fun facts?
Gladly I'll help.
Okay, now we can move into our final slays.
Final slays.
Quotes for the episode. My first one is Cordelia when this bitch just keeps bringing up her car the first time when she's like, until then, you and your mom are welcome to ride around with me in my car. Like, I was like, bitch. And then my other one is the dialogue between Buffy and Willow in the house whenever she's like, it's so weird. Every time something like this happens, my first instinct is to run to Angel. And I can't believe this is the same person. And Willow says, well, sort of, except you're still the only thing that he thinks about. That's just always so eye-opening to me that he's just still in love with her, but in a fucked up way now. Like he's got that residual energy. So those are my 2 quotes that I have.
Well, you took mine, which was the until then you and your mother are welcome to drive around in my car, because same as you, like Cordelia's lack of self-awareness is like very on brand for her as usual, and like simultaneously making it about herself as always, and like putting her own, I guess, like safety and the importance of it above everybody else is just like such a class act for Cordy. So that was my quote for those reasons, but also because it was like the little bit of humor that I needed in this episode to cling on to some sort of lifeline and have a little bit of laughter instead of just tears the whole time.
Mine was when Xander was in the library in the beginning of the episode, and he was like, a visit from the Pointed Tooth Fairy pertaining to Angel, because once again, Xander is always known for like the funniest like side jokes ever. So like I'll have to give him his 10 for this one. And the other one was Buffy saying, I know I'll sleep easier when I can sleep easier, because once again, like for her, she has to sleep at night knowing that Angela can do so many more crimes and murders. So when she can sleep, hopefully she can, which is like how I'm struggling to sleep every day, to be honest. So I understand her on that.
My final slays were actually a lot of Cordelia moments in this one, but I think the moment that like stands out for me is when she's like, why doesn't he just like slit her throat and like do all these stuff? And she turns around and she goes, what? I'm just trying to help. It's like totally Cordelia. She's one of my faves. It's like, so it like just cute that she's like actually trying to help. Like that's her like actually doing it. That. And then the moment where the people walk into the library, just because it's so good, just to switch things up where they're like, oh, we have to leave and talk in private. There's just something about it that's so good. And I forgot that happened in this episode when I went back to watch it.
I love that you chose Cordelia. I always expect this from you.
I love Cordelia.
Shining Slayer. Courtney was asking me before we came in to record. She's like, who's your Shining Slayer? I was like, I have to save it, mate. Mine is Jenny Calendar. based on the fact, obviously, there's so many other things we can have Shining Slayer at for this if you guys have other people, but for the fact that she was trying to do what was right for her friends, the people that she had betrayed in a sense, she was well on her way to successfully almost helping them to recover Angel before it was truly too late for her. So in an honorary fashion, I gave it to Jenny Calendar for trying her hardest and honestly basically sacrificing her life to do this. But because of the fact that, and not to say like without a spoiler or anything like that in any way, shape, or form, the fact that she saved a fucking foul and we saw it fall at the end of the death. So there's still hope. She left hope for the group. Whether that comes to par or not, she left hope for them. So,
yeah. And I still need to know what happens with the floppy disk.
You're at prediction. I can't.
Don't we all? I'm dying to know.
I'm like, obviously, I like that element of it because that was intentional. And anytime like a show or a movie does anything like that, that's your like biggest breadcrumb. And y'all know I'm here for the breadcrumbs, so I was eating that one up. But yeah, same thing as Brandon. Obviously, like the Shining Slayer, I think just like in honor of and out of respect and all of the reasons are there is to appropriately give it to Jenny. And yeah, I mean, it's for the obvious reasons, like she had to basically in secrecy, I mean, she didn't have to, but she did in secrecy have a game plan. She was trying to kind of remedy the situation that she created or she felt responsible for. So it's that part, it's the part that she lost her life, you know, and obviously she's a huge part of the group. So in general, I think it has to go to Jenny, but that's my opinion, obviously.
I agree. It was really hard for me to pick between Jenny or Sunshine.
Oh my God, what a survivor!
That puppy had to put up with so much crap.
If we know one thing is for certain about some fucking Drusilla, is she gonna steal something from somebody.
My Shining Slayer besides Jenny, obviously for the reasons you guys have listed, I will also add in Willow, because if it wasn't for her actually doing the spell to get the barriers for people's houses, Angela would still be lurking around trying to get into Buffy's house, Willow's house, Giles' house. And if by then, if they never did it, he would have killed Jenny and then had access to kill everybody else as well. So thank you, Willow, for saying that spell, because they would have probably died too.
What was giving you guys the weekly wigs? I'll let somebody else go first.
Angela's. Obviously, for the better reasons of everything, but like he was just a consistent, just nag this whole episode between stalking and like going to different stalking appearances. How did he figure that out? We will never know. From him having just regular ass paper on standby to start drawing anywhere, he fold that in his jacket. He drew at Buffy, Joyce, and now, you know, obviously Jenny. He was out here an artist. And then, like, I just think it's even more worse, like, for him to go even sadistically, besides Jenny, but to kill fishes, that means he went to fish them out, to then string them like they're a shish kebab, to fold them in a literal letter. It's insidious behavior, because he had to wait for that shit to dry, unless he put that in some, like, and just is very strategic in how demented he is. So for me, he just went on. Like, I'm even shocked that he didn't do anything to like Xander, because you know Angel and him hate that motherfucker. So I was just waiting for him to do something even more insidious to Xander, but Xander barely have anything. So it's like, okay. But I just feel like the whole thing of how they really encapsulated how different Angela is from Angel is so crazy, because like you're like watching this happen and you're just like, no, like Angel would never. And so it's just like this conflicting feeling, but he was just so weird this episode.
Yeah, mine's the same thing too. Angelus, just in a nutshell, and we can sum that up that easily. Everything he did this episode is just like, that's the first time he's been on my weekly wigs.
Same here, for all the same reasons, from all the minute ones like the stringing the fish is like a shish kebab to literally murdering Jenny. I'm just like, I'm done with, I want him to have a 20K per sleigh right now.
Is there no Oz in this episode?
No Oz.
Oh, yeah, there wasn't. That's my weekly wigs.
Before I move on to Slayer at predictions for Courtney, I want to commend the actors, like mostly Anthony, Sarah, and David, for doing a fucking like chef's kiss beautiful performance for this. This obviously took Angelus to another level. We've already been commentating on the fact that Angel or David does so well in this flip of the script. It didn't take him a few episodes to get into the swing of this new vibe of Angelus. He hit the fucking shit running. He's just gone with it. So he does it very well. It's awesome. Slayer at predictions. The next episode is called Killed by Death.
What? Are you for real?
Yeah.
We can't have any more killings. Okay, killed by death. I have no idea where to go with this. Let me think for a second. If someone's killed by death, we just had a death, and that was Jenny. Is this Giles-centric?
No.
No. I'm not on point for Slayer predictions.
It's all right. I can breadcrumb you though. We'll just see it. But it is like a little filler episode, but we are still dealing a little bit with this aftermath of this, obviously, because this episode comes right after. But regardless, it's a pretty good episode.
All right.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to our discussion on Passion. How do you guys feel about the death of Jenny? Does this one go down as a top moment on Buffy for you? What do you like about this one and how it shapes the story moving forward? Let us know your thoughts. Naj, Tyler, thank you guys for coming back to hang out and discuss one of the biggest episodes with us. Can't wait to see what y'all come back for in the future of Revamped and Buffy, because obviously, as per usual, we will be inviting you back and we'll definitely see you again. Until that time comes, though, where can we find you guys so everyone else can keep up with you?
You can find me Tyler the Vampire Slayer on both Twitch and YouTube. If you like the Buffy content, I did a whole commentary on Joss Whedon's The Nevers when it came out. That's probably the most in-depth thing I have on there related to Buffy or Joss Whedon.
Well, I do, show reactions right now, and I'm watching Charmed. I am on YouTube at Naj Reacts, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. All right, you guys. Well, we're out of here. Take care, and we will talk to you next week.
In my years as watcher, I've buried too many people. But Jenny was the first I loved.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't kill him for you. For her. When I had the chance.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatchpodcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast, where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things Urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.